US Highway 380 is one of the most congested highways in the northern portion of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. With an overall expansion project commencing through both Collin and Denton counties, this project has been in the planning phases since around 2017 and has been sorely needed for, I would say, more than 15 years now. Now, what's going on, everyone? My name is Cool Titanium 68, and in today's automotive video, we're going to be taking a look at the Spur 399 extension, the last corridor along the entire US 380 expansion through Collin County. Now, the entire expansion of US 380 through the northern portions of DFW is split up into multiple separate projects. We've covered most of them through Collin County, so we've already discussed the Frisco/Prosper expansion, which is honestly just going to be using the same right-of-way. We've talked about the McKinney bypass, which will build a brand new section of 380 in and around the northern side of McKinney. We've talked about the Princeton bypass, which would, again, bypass the city of Princeton to its north, and the Farmersville bypass, which will be built on the south side of Farmersville on, again, relatively undeveloped land. Now, the plan for Spur 399 extension is, well, mainly to relieve traffic on a couple of areas. So, for those of you that don't know where 399 is right now, it is this section coming off of 75, and it ends pretty much right here at State Highway 5, where it follows this. Why is this project necessary? It's for two reasons. Number one, it's to really get people off of Airport Drive. It is still considered to be one of the busiest road corridors around. Industrial is always going to be packed. So it's like when people are coming off of here, especially when they're coming off of the Sam Rayburn Tollway, they kind of come off of here. And then if they want to have to bypass all of McKinney, they have to take Harry McKillop down to Airport Drive. Now, Harry McKillop Boulevard is already a 6-lane highway, but the fact that you have to do this, you have to sit on multiple stoplights, especially here, which, again, this one is still a pretty big bottleneck. You got a 4-lane highway throughout the whole area here, too. So this would have been a big thing. Now, yes, you could say, oh, yeah, well, I'll just take State Highway 5 all the way up. But here's the thing. State Highway 5 is a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone going up to 380. Now, yes, Airport Drive is, I believe, a 40 to 45, depending on where you're at. And Harry McKillop is a 45 as well. But it's still not going to be able to get the amount of traffic off of the actual highways that is needed, because this right here is always going to be backed up. After splitting the US Highway 380 project in Collin County to, well, 5 separate corridors after the conclusion of the feasibility study in 2020, the project's first public meeting was commenced on February 13th. Was it February 13th of 2021? With basically the virtual public scoping. And again, it was pushed back because of the COVID-19 outbreak, so everything was virtual only. As they were working on this meeting, there were 6 purposes for this meeting. They were trying to explain the environmental impact statement process, present alternatives to be studied, and then provide the project's purpose and needs, share what the DOT would consider, present the schedule, and then gather public input. As we scroll down, these are just some things that we've been at, and this is kind of where this project has started. As we said before, in 2016 was where Collin County had identified US 380 as a priority project for a limited access roadway, and then through the latter half of the 2010s, the Texas DOT went through a whole feasibility study and then split them up in 2020, with most of these meetings happening, I believe it was either early to mid-2021, like the Spur 399 project. Now, what is this project trying to do? They're trying to draw traffic away from US 380, especially in and around downtown McKinney. If you guys have not been through downtown McKinney during rush hour, pretty much all along here is a humongous nightmare. I mean, yes, you could take Airport Road as a reliever, but then also Southeast McKinney is a lot of industrial warehouses, so it's a lot of trucks. And yes, even though you can technically go stuff here, there's like, I don't even want to know how many stoplights are right here. I think there's probably about like 5 or 6 stoplights, so not the best thing to do. Now, one thing that they did say is there could be benefit to providing another north to south connection in addition to the 75 and State Highway 5 intersection. So on top of taking this, which by the way, again, is a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone, which takes you directly through downtown McKinney, building a bypass would help to alleviate a lot of traffic here and also help to build up what will eventually be a passenger gate facility for McKinney National Airport, which, yes, that is going through. And it talks about other modes were determined to be unable to independently relieve. Again, constructing a freeway is considered the best option, and it's worked with multiple municipalities, McKinney National Airport, Collin County, North Texas Municipal, and Encore Wire. Now, the reason for that is because I think there's a municipal water district building over here, which, yes, it did get relocated. And then you do have power lines coming up in and around this area as well. Hence why they're talking about that. And again, they received over 18,000 public comments. Many supported the freeway, but many expressed the concerns. Again, kind of like what they did with the McKinney bypass. It was a big problem, and they were all like, well, what in the world are they going to do with this? Now, coming into this meeting, I believe they did come in with 2 alignments. So the first alignment, again, is basically utilizing Airport Drive on the west side with that purple alignment. Now, the downside, if they did that, that would mean cutting into what is now all of these warehouses and then having to worry about Encore Wire, which is this warehouse right here, because their entrance is right up here. And if they want to expand, I believe that they would have to buy out some of the right-of-way over here, so it's not so far into McKinney National Airport, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other one was the orange alignment, which what that will do is it will bypass basically just bypass the rest of this to the south. So it will pretty much right up on the outside of these warehouses and then kind of come straight north up to about New Hope Road, which is where the 380 bypass for McKinney ends at as well. Yes, they actually did have to do that. With a lot of these, especially with the 2 in McKinney, they did have to work on where they would put a lot of these alignments, especially the eastern alignment for the McKinney bypass, because, I mean, is it going to end at Airport Drive or are they just going to end it up here? It all depended on the Spur 399 extension. What this is going to ask for, it is going to be an 8-lane highway. Some places are going to have as wide as 400 feet. And again, most of this is just to have extra space between the frontage roads and the main lanes. Because these main lanes, what they normally do is they'll build out 12-foot wide lanes, then they'll have about a 12 to 14-foot inner shoulder on each side. It really depends, and then they'll have about a 12-foot shoulder on the outside of each lane. They don't really do that with the frontage roads because, well, there's just so much development, but we'll see. But with most of it being about 320 to 400 feet, it won't be that bad. If you guys don't know what this is, so this kind of tan alignment was supposed to be the alignments that came from the feasibility study. And that was one of the things that the city of Fairview was like, no, I don't know if I want to do this, because it would impact two nature areas. Well, I want to say nature areas. It's a nature area and a soccer complex. So this would impact the Fairview nature area, which is right over here, and then would also impact the Fairview Soccer Complex, which is right over here. And I believe they also own this land here, which I don't even think that Fairview is going to actually build that out soon. Now, again, I don't think this map is even current because they don't have the Harry McKillop Boulevard build out there. So what they did is they kind of reflected some of the changes here. They pushed it a little bit farther east off of Airport Drive, which that would mean that they'd have to basically rebuild Airport Drive if they were to, as the thing for that there as well. Again, what they've done here is they've shifted the orange alignment up farther north about 2,000 feet. Again, minimizes the impact to Fairview and to Fairway Nature Preserve. And at this point, this was their public intent. They're going to keep going, and then they would have their second public meeting, which I'll scroll up to here, in October of 2023. Coming into the second public meeting, again, this was probably about like 6 months after that first meeting, and they'd taken a lot of stuff. And either way, from this meeting, it would greatly help mobility and add highway capacity with either one that they would have. With this, that orange alignment did prove to be a little bit better especially with the purpose it needs. So for mobility, connectivity, and then providing capacity for regional growth. Because if you look at the orange alignment, this is going to be going on the east side, where, again, this is still relatively undeveloped land in the city of McKinney, and even coming out into like the extraterrestrial junction points for McKinney and even for Princeton. So would facilitate a lot more business and help to build out McKinney National Airport on that east side. This would be a $700 million project. Now, this purple alternative actually is a little bit cheaper, is not that much cheaper than I thought it would be. With the engineering side, the total length of the purple alternative is just under 1.5 miles shorter than the orange alternative. But you would have to relocate 3 major utilities. The bridges are slightly bigger. There'd be 2 new interchanges, but it would be a cheaper right of way. But also, it's not as good as the orange alternative. It's like, what would be the biggest thing that would be able to do is to be able to do this. So as you can see here, it's like, okay, for the alternative length, yeah, the purple length is shorter. The orange length would only conflict with 1 major utility, and the orange alternative would use maybe 1,000 feet less bridge. But the orange alternative would need 3 grade separated interchanges, and looks like would require almost double the amount of new right-of-way. And again, that is just because you have to build on the east side. But it would not really conflict with airport access, right-of-way, and its airspace, even though it is going to cost about $700 million. And mind y'all, this is on 3 separate projects. I will talk about this later, but you guys will be able to see a lot of this stuff as it goes on. What they'll do is they're going to increase the lanes coming off of the Sam Rayburn Tollway Bridge to 6. And then as the access ramps come up, they're going to widen the bridge over Medical Center Drive so that they can add 8 lanes. Yeah, this is going to be 8, but actually is this going to become 5 lanes going south? Oh, yeah, I see why. So this will become an 8-lane highway coming up to here. However, there will be a single auxiliary lane so that you can exit onto here. Now, sadly, if you're coming off of 75 on a Spur 399 to get to southbound State Highway 5, you're gonna have to. What you'll probably have to do is you'll have to exit before I forgot what this road is, and you'll just have to ride that coming up. So again, this will be a majority 10-lane highway coming up, and it's just because of how it's wanting to be built. There will be 2 lanes coming. There will be 2 lanes coming to and from State Highway 5. So coming over State Highway 5, there's going to be 2 lanes. Coming northbound onto the frontage roads, there'll be 2 lanes. But then what they're going to do, there will be a new grade separated intersection at Stewart Road, which I believe the blue. Let's see if we can find the legend for this. I believe it's probably gonna be over here somewhere. Do they not? Oh, there it is. So Pros Beach, main lanes. Yeah, so all these are gonna be project by others. Okay. Coming up to here, after State Highway 5, there will be an exit road. Well, there'll be a 2-lane exit for State Highway 5, and there will be a 1-lane entrance, and there'll be a lane coming in. Now, why would they do that? That's because if you're going northbound, these are the lanes that will be going up to State Highway 5, and this is just the only one that'll be coming westward. But what they're going to do, instead of using here in McKillop, what they're going to do is they're going to build along the Wilson Creek floodplain here, and then just kind of ride towards the southeast, all on a bridge. Now you might be wondering, well, why would they only use a bridge? That doesn't really make sense. If this can get on here, I will show y'all. I believe this is going to be using that orange alternative just because this is the one that they have provided and are going to want to use. But Harry McKillop Boulevard will be completely rebuilt and also partially torn out too. So up to here, this was actually repaved into concrete. So it used to be like part asphalt, but then about like 10-ish years ago, they repaved it to concrete. And then they also widened this to like a 4-lane separated highway. But what they're going to do is they have to tear that out because the lanes coming in from Harry McKillop are going to come onto here. And these two warehouses, so that is going to be these two right down here where Aussie Air, Xterra, and PCR Recycling are, will be relocated, most likely somewhere, or they'll just rebuild it somewhere else, like around here, which is what they should do. But they're going to extend Airport Drive down to the southwest, probably a couple 100 feet for this intersection. But what that means is that South Airport Drive coming up to Old Mill will be rebuilt just to enter onto the southeastbound frontage roads. And again, you got your entrances, your exits coming up for this one. But the interesting one to keep an eye out on is going to be what they're going to do in this area with some of the roads. So one thing they could do is still utilize FM 546 a little bit and use it to just come back up and connect onto the westbound frontage roads. And you can use that as access onto Watley Way, which again is where the Simpson Tile Company building is. And this road also leads directly into a Amazon fulfillment center in McKinney. The main one shows that, yes, 546 would be torn out, and this would just be like one road here. But then you'd also have a choice between either doing that, which, again, you could do that, or an alternative design would be to utilize, the alternative would be to just extend Watley Road all the way onto the frontage roads itself and just completely eliminate 546 at that point. Now, another thing that they've also looked at is going to be Old Mill Road. Now, yes, that will have to be torn down. So this area here of Old Mill Road will have to be torn down. And the plan is, instead of coming down here, which I think they did decide to, no, so it would end like somewhere around here. So they'll just come up, or another alternative design for that one would be to just bring it a little bit farther east, have it go over this new culvert, and just come up here. Still utilize a little bit more, might be a little bit cheaper, to be honest with you as well. But again, that's how that road works. Now coming up to view 3, this is where it's coming on around the south side of the airport. Now here there are 2 alternative designs when it comes to this as well. This is coming up to the another 546 intersection, because remember, this 546 comes around the south side and then heads straight north, and then we'll hit the new warehouses that are over here. County Road 317 ends here, but what they will have to do is pretty much just rebuild a lot of this road. I believe it ends there. Yeah, so they've kind of already done that, is the rebuild of this, because I don't think that barn, that barn does not exist, because now this is a materials plant. This is now a materials plant just north of Fairview. So they've already rebuilt this. It's just going to be a matter of what they'll do for the rest of that stuff. But the plan is they could either do this intersection where it is grade separated for FM 546, you can just go straight there. Or what they would do is they would just directly bypass a lot of this instead of just keeping this area around and having to build a much larger bridge going over even County Road 317 for the westbound and eastbound frontage roads. They would extend 546 farther south like this and then connect it up here for Fairview. Probably could be an interesting thing to see, but I don't know. I don't know if they would actually want to do that. As we take a look at County Road 722, this is the next roll. So County Road 722 is going to be here. Now, here there are two design choices when it comes to what they'll want to use. Number one, and this is what's currently on there right now, is they just chops County Road 722 and they have each side just feed onto the respective frontage roads. Or, in the alternative design, they'll just bridge over 720. They'll start the bridging over, I believe this is the Trinity River over here. Yeah, over the East Fork floodplains on the west side of County Road 722. Those are the two design things that they decided to look at for that. Now, for the last roll, this is going to lead us all the way up to US Highway 380, and everything will be bridged. Now, the question of what they will do here, this is another question mark as to what they'll do. Now, what they've thought about doing is maybe possibly building a new road that would incorporate, well, this on top of just the Texas turnarounds. Are they going to do that now? I would say it kind of depends on what they'll do with this section when it comes to building out the next highway. Now, I believe what they're talking about is, I can't actually tell that well where it's at, but it's somewhere right around here is where they would look at possibly building a new road, which would make sense. It just depends on when they will start to build that passenger facility, because they'll probably use that to come out here for that Texas turnaround. As they keep going, they will just build this out to here, and it looks like this just because, well, it's not working in conjunction with that. Otherwise, this would be just one ginormous project that I believe would be a little bit too much for this area. Now, after this meeting, the Texas DOT would spend the next year to work on that draft environmental impact statement. Again, that one would be made public with that final meeting on November 10th, 2022, which is the one that we had just talked about. From there, they recommend the orange alignment as it would bring in the least amount of major disruptions. Now, the cost for each is relatively similar to each other now, with the purple route increasing from that 601 million to 742, and then the orange route increasing from 706 to 755. Now, when it comes to major business impacts, the only orange route would only affect the McKinney Airport Center, which had been relocated onto the airport itself. So that was the one that was on the very southwest corner of Harry McKillop and Airport Drive, and then also the Simpson Strong Tie. Now, because Simpson Strong Tie owes the land going south of its current warehouse to Old Mill Road, this would affect their current expansion. And what I'm talking about is this is Simpson Strong Tie Company. So they also own the land on the south side here. So they own all of this land. And honestly, even though it would affect them, if they were to just build a straight southeast, this would give Simpson Strong Tie a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to going down south. With Harry McKillop Boulevard already going through their land, the alignment would eliminate Harry McKillop entirely and give them at least some more room to expand the current warehouse to the south. Now, when it comes to the purple route, a lot more companies had opposed that route. As stated, Encore Wire opposed the purple route because it would interrupt their expansion plans, and creating access challenges and required too much right-of-way. The Texas Parks and Wildlife, they recommended just using their existing infrastructure to minimize wildlife impact. And the North Texas Water Municipal District opposed the purple alignment because of a new 72-inch water pipeline re-permitting around the current landfill, the transfer mains at Wilson Creek being affected, and then the North McKinney Water Lift Station. Now, Blue Mountain Equipment itself would oppose, mainly because of their southern entry being eliminated, and then Amazon would oppose it because they would have to relocate their warehouse next to the airport. And like most of these companies, again, either did not comment or did fully support that orange route. Well, after the third meeting and the Texas DOT residents given a full month for comment submission, they would finalize both the environmental impact statement and the record of decision in March of 23. That orange alternative was decided as the recommended loop, which would be built out to not only relieve traffic in and around McKinney, but also would act as a southern connection between US Highway 75, Sam Rayburn Tollway, and US Highway 380, while also adding highway capacity and accommodating for future growth, especially around McKinney National Airport. With these documents finalized, this project's ready-to-let date is said to be expected for 2026, but if we know anything, if we take a look at a lot of those other projects, I think the bulk of that project was not supposed to be ready to let until about 2035. However, this is actually one of the few that is in the works. Well, I don't want to say in the works, but it's under construction. If we take a look at the projects under construction page, this is number 13. So this segment here from State Spur 399 to El Dorado Parkway, there are plans to construct new roadway lanes, and this was let in this past year in 2024. However, nothing's really been said, but it has been. But again, $157 million went out to Weber LLC to work on that roadway. Now, if we were to look at the design phase, I know that they are working on the design phases for most of these projects here. And this is where a lot of the State Spur 299 project is. I thought they were already working on parts of this. Oh yeah, they are. So number 5, yeah, so the grade separation over here, that was just let in 24. This is the one that I believe most of it's already being worked on, but it's still going to take a good while. And that is this one, State Spur 399 from US 75 to State Highway 5. And this will include building this out too as well. I don't know if they'll actually start work on this, but I would believe that they would build this out to about here, so that they can then just rework Harry McKillop Boulevard. We'll see, but again, I will probably show y'all that as we're over there.
Thank you, Matthew, from the studio. So we're out here. This is at Harry McKillop Boulevard, and then over towards our right is going to be State Highway 5. Now, reason why we're over here, partially A, is because I don't want to be that involved in the construction zone. However, we are still in somewhat of a good spot here. So this bridge right over here, I don't know if it's going to be rebuilt for 380 or if it's going to be used or not. If it is, what will most likely happen is the 380 main lanes are going to be right over to our east. And I don't know if you can see right over here, but you've got like the first line of trees, and then there's a second one behind that, because what they've already done is they've bought the right of way to come around the water, well, not the water, the landfill site all the way over in the far back, which is now about the same height as this bridge. And what they're going to do is that'll be where the main lanes will come up in here for that. Now, as of right now, a lot of the stuff towards our south, down State Highway 5, they have started doing some land clearing, and I can even see that from where I'm at right now, but not much has been going on, partially because they're still working on a lot of the design work for this section here, which will add probably another $40 to $50 million. And oh my gosh, there's so many gnats around me. It's insane. The plan here is they're gonna turn this into a full 8-lane highway. When exactly will construction start, I'm not sure. But for Q2 of 2025, they do have one construction partner already contracted to do some of this work. That is Weber LLC. They will most likely get probably the rest of Spur 399 as this goes out. I believe later this year, we do have another segment of money that'll be coming out for this part of Spur 399, probably leading up to the end of that bridge. I think what they should do is they should build the bridge coming over the Wilson Creek floodplain, and then they'll end probably just before Airport Drive. They'll bridge it down, but they won't actually build it fully out, because then the bypass around McKinney is not expected to be let until 2032. Now I'm gonna bring this back over to Matthew back in the studio, and I hope y'all like the rest of this video.
Thank you, Matthew from outside. So just again to wrap this up, most of these segments are going to be done by around 2033, I believe, is what the ready to let date is for the second half of State Spur 399. And I believe the last CSJ for at least this, I think the second CSJ, at least for the main segment of 399, leading up to, I would probably say about Airport Drive is where they're going to stop. Because, yeah, they'll probably just use Airport Drive as a reliever. They're just not going to build the whole main lanes going up. at least for right now, because I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to relieve traffic off of State Highway 5 and just keep everyone going around. Because what most people do when they get to the Harry McKillop Boulevard intersection is they turn right anyways. So it's like you might as well just build the bridge going over and then just do that. But looking at that picture again, because now I'm just looking through it. So the main lane bridges are going to be just to the south of Harry McKillop, sitting in between Harry McKillop and then the landfill. So that's what that'll be. And I think the rest of that loop front going all the way up to the north side will not be done until sometime well into the 2030s. I don't think that thing will be completed till closer to like 2040. So by the time I'm well into my 30s, I have kids, is when this project will be fully complete. But with that, we're going to end the video here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you guys like what you all saw, please leave a like and subscribe down below. And please leave a comment as to whether you guys liked that in-person showing of where it's going to be. I'm going to try and do that again for the next video where we're at where we're talking about the Denton County interim grade separation projects, because I'm going to show y'all a couple of the bridges that are being worked on and how it kind of works. If you don't want to miss any more videos, make sure you guys hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. With that, I'll see y'all later.